In the last year, something strange has happened to the internet. You ask Google a simple question, and instead of answers, you get noise, ads, AI summaries, strange robotic paragraphs telling you things you already know, or things that are dangerously wrong. It feels like the world's most powerful search engine, the company that once claimed don't be evil, has fallen into its own trap. Websites are dying. Publishers are collapsing. Entire industries are losing millions, and lawsuits are emerging everywhere. But this is not an accident. This is the result of a decision that was decades in the making. Tonight, we're not just asking why Google search feels broken. We're asking a far darker question. Has Google, the gatekeeper of the entire internet, finally lost control? This is the story of how Google's AI overhaul started a chain reaction that is now tearing the modern web apart, and why the collapse of search could rewrite the future of online business forever. Something changed in 2024. Google introduced what it proudly called the Search Generative Experience, a long, glowing AI-generated block at the top of nearly every search. Most people call it the AI overview, and many hate it. You search for, where's the closest Walmart? Before, a map. A clean list of addresses. Simple. Now, a paragraph telling you that an online search should help you find a nearby Walmart. A useless summary that takes up the entire top of your screen. And Google didn't stop there. Above the AI block, 4 massive ads. Below it, people also ask. More blocks, more widgets, more Google-owned features. The real results and the organic websites are buried at the bottom, sometimes 2 full scrolls away. Google didn't just redesign search, they suffocated it, and yet the most alarming part isn't the clutter, it's the quality. Because this AI isn't a search engine, it's a text predictor, a system trying to guess the most statistically likely next sentence, not the most accurate one. That's how we ended up with advice like, drink urine to cure kidney stones, use glue on pizza, and eat small rocks for health benefits. It sounds absurd, like a joke. But the reason this nonsense rises to the top is even worse, because Google's AI isn't pulling from medical studies, it isn't pulling from trusted research, it's pulling from Reddit, random forums, jokes, sarcasm, trolling. A machine that cannot detect irony is now summarizing billions of web pages with absolute confidence, and for millions of people, Google is no longer a source of truth, but a source of unpredictable, polished, confident mistakes. But this is only the beginning. Because behind the wrong answers is a much darker consequence, like a consequence that is destroying the business model of the entire internet. For most of the internet's history, the system worked like this. You search something on Google, you click a website. That website earns revenue from ads or affiliate links. That money funds journalism, blogs, tutorials, reviews, the content you rely on. It was the ecosystem that built the modern web, but AI overviews shattered it. Because now, users don't click, they search, they read the AI block, they leave. Websites across the internet are reporting devastating losses, traffic down 30%, click-through rates down 40%, revenue down 20 to 50%, entire companies collapsing overnight. The Sun, a huge media site, dropped from 134 million Google visitors to just 80 million. Chegg, the education platform, saw its traffic collapse so fast their stock dropped 90%. Their CEO publicly accused Google of using Chegg's content to generate answers, and then keeping users on Google. And he's not wrong. Google is scraping the internet, building AI summaries from the work of millions of writers, researchers, educators, and journalists. And in return, those creators get nothing. No clicks, no credit, no compensation. Google built a machine that feeds on the content of others while starving the creators who actually make the web worth visiting. This is why websites are suing Google. This is why regulators are stepping in. This is why entire publishers are now calling Google's AI summaries a traffic black hole. But here's the part no one talks about. Google knew this would happen, and they launched it anyway. Because the problem isn't just AI, it's the pressure inside Google itself. Inside Google, employees have been warning leadership for years. Search used to be sacred, minimalistic, fast, ad-free. One of Google's first slogans was, "Focus on the user and all else will follow." But internally, that motto slowly died. As early as 2019, senior engineers wrote emails expressing fear that Google was too close to the money. They said the search team was being pressured by finance executives to stuff more ads into search results, and they were right. Over the years, ads got bigger, ads became harder to distinguish, more ads were added at the top, organic results got pushed lower. Google-owned widgets took over. Search wasn't designed for users anymore. It was designed for quarterly revenue targets, and then everything suddenly changed. ChatGPT launched. For the first time in 20 years, Google had a real competitor, a serious threat. Millions of people began asking ChatGPT instead of Google, "What is this? How do I fix that?" What should I buy? Instead of returning links, ChatGPT returned answers, and that terrified Google. They declared internal code red. Teams were ordered to build AI features fast, not thoughtfully, not carefully, but reactively. Google wasn't innovating, they were chasing. A company with a 20-year lead, suddenly rushing to catch up, and their panic led to one of the biggest miscalculations in modern tech. They tried to turn Google search into ChatGPT, but the two systems are fundamentally different. ChatGPT makes money from subscriptions, Google makes money from ads. AI summaries reduce clicks. Reduced clicks mean fewer ads mean lower revenue. Google built a system that cannibalizes the very business model it depends on. It is the rarest thing in corporate history. A trillion-dollar company accidentally creating a product that destroys itself, and the consequences for Google and the entire internet are now impossible to ignore. For decades, Google's market share was untouchable, 90%, sometimes 92%, domination. But suddenly the number dropped. 85%, 84%, 83%, still huge. But the decline is historic. Google never drops, but now people are leaving. Bing is gaining users. DuckDuckGo is growing. Even smaller engines are rising. Not because they're better, but because they're not trying to be everything at once. And while users flee, publishers are fighting back. Chegg sued Google. Penske Media sued Google. European regulators launched investigations. Italian publishers filed complaints. Independent news networks are calling Google's AI the greatest threat to publishing in a generation. Google is bleeding trust, bleeding users, bleeding goodwill. Even employees are publicly criticizing leadership, accusing Google of destroying its own product to chase the hype of AI. And under this pressure, Google has quietly begun testing changes. Some users now see a button, Generate AI Answer, instead of an automatic AI block. A sign that Google knows something is wrong. Something is broken, something needs to change, but even if Google fixes their search engine, the internet itself may never be the same, because AI didn't just change search. AI changed the entire economics of the web. The modern internet was built on one simple idea. Websites create content, search engines send traffic, traffic funds content, content fuels the web. It was a delicate ecosystem, and Google's AI experiment may have shattered it permanently. If AI summaries replace clicks, websites die. If websites die, AI loses the content it relies on. It is a circular collapse. AI needs the open internet, but AI is destroying the open internet. Even Google is trapped in this paradox. They need ads, they need clicks, they need a functioning ecosystem, but their AI summaries reduce all three. Meanwhile, ChatGPT is preparing to introduce ads too. AI companies are racing to become the next gateway of information, and Google, the company whose name became a verb, is suddenly fighting for relevance. The question now is not, can Google fix search? The question is, what happens to the internet if they don't? For 20 years, Google was the backbone of the internet, the keeper of knowledge, the gateway to everything. But now, the system is fracturing, and the future of search and the future of the entire digital world hangs in the balance. The collapse of Google search is not just a tech story. It is the story of an internet rewriting itself in real time. And whatever comes next will shape the next decade of human information. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching.